Hello and welcome to Gokul Global University. Let's get started with today's topic on biodiversity and conservation. Beginning with first slide, biodiversity definition. Biodiversity is the variation among living organisms from different sources including terrestrial, marine and desert ecosystem and the ecology complexes of which they are a part. Now question, what is biodiversity? Let's understand what is biodiversity. Biodiversity describes the richness and variety of life on earth. It is the most complex and important feature of our planet. Without biodiversity, life would not sustain. The term biodiversity was coined in 1985. It is important in natural as well as artificial ecosystem. It deals with nature's varieties biosphere. It refers to variable among plants, animals and microorganism species. Now, biodiversity includes the number of different organisms and their relative frequencies in an ecosystem. It also reflects the organization of organisms at different levels. Biodiversity holds ecological and economic significance. It provides us with nourishment, housing, fuel, clothing, and several other resources. It also extracts monetary benefits through tourism. Therefore, it is very important to have a good knowledge of biodiversity for a sustainable livelihood. Now we discuss about types of biodiversity. You can see in image three types of different biodiversity. First, genetic biodiversity, second, species biodiversity and third, ecological diversity. First, species diversity. Species diversity refers to the variety of different types of species found in a particular area. It is the biodiversity at the most basic level. It includes all the species ranging from plant to different microorganisms. No two individuals of the same species are exactly similar. For example, humans show a lot of diversity among themselves. Now, second, genetic diversity. Genetic diversity, it refers to variation among the genetic resource of the organisms. Every individual of the particular species differs from each other and their genetic constitute. That is why every human look different from each other. Similarly, there are different varieties in the same species of like rice, wheat, maize, barley, etc. Now, third is ecological biodiversity. An ecological biodiversity is a collection of living and non-living organisms and their interaction with each other. Ecological biodiversity refers to the variation in the plant and animal species living together and connected by food chain or food webs. It is a diversity observed among the different ecosystem in a region. Diversity in different ecosystem like desert, rainforest, mangroves, etc. Now we discuss about biodiversity of plants and animals. Different type of biodiversity in plants and animals. First, the diversity of plant on the planet Earth is an important resource for food, shelter and agriculture. About thousands of plants crop species have been identified, developed, used and relied on for the purpose of food and agriculture production in human series. These plants include bushes, grasses, herbs, shrubs, trees, vines, ferns, and mosses. Through the process of photosynthesis, plants provide us with the oxygen which we breathe and to sugars that provide the primary fuel for life. There is a great variation in the biodiversity resulting from human and ecosystem interaction for certain food and development for the survival of human population regardless of the pest, climate fluctuation, disease and other unaccepted environmental events. Currently, there only a few crops species which provide us with food and essential essential energy requirement for the total human population all around the world. These crops include rice, wheat, maize, cereals, pulses, etc. As per the requirement on this mandatory small number of crops for global food security, it will be essential maintain a continuity of this plant species along with the increasing environmental stress and to provide an opportunity for the frames to breed more amount of the crops can be cultivated under the unfavorable condition such as poor soil, salinity, drought, flooding and extreme temperature. Now we discuss about biodiversity in animals. Similarly to the plant, the biodiversity of animals is vast and there are several animal species which have trained, domesticated and used for the food production for the agriculture and are the primary biological capital for livestock development. These play a vital role in food safety, also in maintaining the rural development. Yet, its management has been terrible. There have been a lot of animals that have gone extinct over the past for years, and this is a matter of great sorrow. Now, importance of biodiversity. Now let's understand the importance of biodiversity. Biodiversity and its management are very important for sustaining life on earth. Few of the reasons explain the importance of biodiversity are: first is ecological stability. First, ecological stability. Every species has a specific role in an ecosystem. They capture and store energy and also produce decomposed organic matter. The ecosystem supports the service without which human cannot survive. A diverse and ecosystem is more productive and can withstand also environment in stress. Second is economic importance of biodiversity. Importance of biodiversity. uh, Biodiversity is a reservoir resources for the manufacture of food, cosmetic products and pharmaceuticals. Crop, livestock, fishery and forests are a rich source of food. Wild plants such as cinchona and foxglove plant are used for medicinal purpose. Wood, fibers, perfumes, lubricants, rubber, resin, poison and cork are all derived from different plant species. The nation biodiversity generally refers to a diversity or variability of living organisms present on this planet and other species which have driven extinction million years ago. The term biodiversity is also refers to as a biological diversity which mainly denotes to the total number of different living species living with a particular region including the microbes, plants, animals and ecosystem such as a coral reefs, forest, rainforest, desert, etc. Now In biodiversity, every single living species has an equally important role in the ecosystem. The term biodiversity was coined by Walter G. Rosen in the year 1986. Now, the strategies for biodiversity conservation. Following are the important strategies of biodiversity conservation. First, all the varieties of food, timber, plants, livestock, microbes and agricultural animals should be conserved. Second, all the economical important organisms should be identified and conserved. Third, unique ecosystems should be preserved first. Then fourth, the resources should be utilized efficiently. Fourth, poaching and hunting of wild animals should be prevented. Next, the reserve and protected areas should be developed carefully. The level of pollutants should be reduced in the environment. Deforestation should be strictly prohibited. Then, environmental laws should be followed strictly. The useful endangered species of plants and animals should be conserved in their nature as well as artificial habitats. Then, public awareness should be created regarding biodiversity conservation and its importance. Next, biodiversity conservation. First, we understand about biodiversity. Now, how can we conserve biodiversity? First, definition of biodiversity conservation. Biodiversity conservation refers to the protection, upliftment, and management of biodiversity in order to derive sustainable benefit for present and future generation. Now, what is biodiversity conservation? Biodiversity conservation, protection and management of biodiversity to obtain resources for sustainable development. Second, biodiversity conservation has three main objectives. First, to preserve the diversity of species. Second, to maintain life supporting system and essential ecological process. Third, sustainable utilization of species and ecosystem. Now, biodiversity and its conservation method. Biodiversity refers variability of life on earth. It can be conserved in the following two ways. We can divide in two ways: in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. First, we understand in situ conservation. So, in situ conservation of biodiversity is the conservation of species within their natural habitat. In this method, the natural ecosystem is maintained and protected. Second, the in situ conservation has several advantages. First, it is cost effective method of conserving biodiversity. Second, a large number of organisms can be conserved simultaneously. Third, since the organisms are in natural ecosystem, they can evolve better and can immediately adjust to different environmental condition. The example of in situ conservation is wildlife sanctuary, national park, biosphere reserve, mangroves, coral reef, etc. Now the second way is conservation is ex situ conservation. Ex situ conservation of biodiversity involve the breeding and maintenance of endangered species in artificial ecosystem such as zoo, nursery, botanical garden, gene bank, seed bank, etc. There is a there is a less competition for food, water, and space among the organisms. Ex situ conservation has several advantages. First, the animals are provided with a longer time and breeding activity. The species bred in capacity can be reintroduced in the wild. Genetic techniques can be used for the preservation of endemic species. So, these are two methods: in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. Now, let's see difference between wildlife sanctuary and national park. First, in wildlife sanctuary, human activity are allowed, but in national park, no human activities are allowed. Second, in wildlife sanctuary, main aim is to protect particular flora and fauna. In national park can include flora, fauna, and other objective of historical objects. Third, wildlife sanctuaries have no fixed boundaries, then national park has a fixed boundaries and defined it. Fourth, wildlife sanctuary is open for general public, but national park are not usually open for general public. Fifth, wildlife sanctuary are usually formed by the order of central of the state government, but national park are formed by the state of the central and legislature. Here is the list of national parks in India. First, Bandipur National Park in Karnataka. Second, Bandigra National Park in Madhya Pradesh. Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand. Dudhwa National Park at Uttar Pradesh. Gir National Park at Gujarat. Hamish National Park at Jammu Kashmir. Kanha National Park at Madhya Pradesh. Kaziranga National Park at Assam. Kevladev National Park at Bharatpur, Rajasthan. Manas National Park at Assam. Panna National Park at Madhya Pradesh. Periyar National Park at Kerala. Paunch National Park at Madhya Pradesh. Ranthambore National Park at Rajasthan. Saria National Park at Rajasthan. And Great Himalayan National Park at Himachal Pradesh. Now, what is sanctuary? Sanctuary are naturally cutting as they are meant to protect the endangered species from hunting, poaching, and predation. Here the animals are bred for commercial purpose. It provides a safe, healthy, and secure refuge to all wild animals. Here is list of wild sanctuaries in India. First, Dachigam Wildlife Sanctuary. Second, Sundarban Wildlife Sanctuary. Third, Manas Wildlife Sanctuary. Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary. Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary. Vedanthangal Bird Sanctuary. Mundanthuri Wildlife Sanctuary. Annamalai Wildlife Sanctuary. Dandeli Wildlife Sanctuary. And Chinnar Wildlife Sanctuary. Now, botanical gardens. It is part of ex situ conservation. Botanical Survey of India. Botanical gardens. Botanical gardens are institution holding document collection of living plant for the purpose of scientific research, conservation, display, and education. Here is list of botanical gardens. Zoo-cum Botanical Garden at Guwahati, Assam. Second, Botanical Garden Waghai at Saputara, Gujarat. Botanical Garden Guru Nanak Dev University at Amritsar, Punjab. Botanical Garden at UP. Lalbagh at Bangalore, Karnataka. Now, BSI Botanical Survey of India. In 1954, the government recognized the BSI with the objective of three objectives. First, undertaking intensive floristic service and collecting accurate and detailed information on the distribution, ecology, and economic utility of plants in the country. Second, collecting, identify and distributing materials that may be of use to educational and research institute. Third, acting as a custodian and authentic collection in well-planned herbaria, documenting plant resource in the form of local, district, state, and national. Next, here is a list of 11 regional centers in different biogeographical region of country. Here is the list you can see in slide. Now, NBPGR, National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resource. Exploration and collection of the crop genetic wealth of the region. Second, evaluation and maintenance of the crop genetic resource situated to this region. Third, characterization, documentation, and cataloging of plant genetic resources. Fourth, identification and distribution of promising germ plasma for their mutualization in crop improvement program. Next, CSIR. The full form of CSIR is Council of Scientific Industrial Research. That first, promotion, guidance and coordination of scientific and industrial research in India. Second, establishment or assistant to exciting special institute of department for scientific study of problems acting particular industry and trades. Third, award of fellowship. They are give fellowship for project and GRF, SRF, etc. Utilization of counseling, research and development for industrial development. Fourth, collection and dissemination of science and technology information and technology generation, absorbs and transfer. Next, ICAR. The full form of ICAR is Indian Council of Agriculture Research. The Indian Council of Agriculture Research is an autonomous organization under the Development of Agriculture Research and Education Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Government of India. Formally known as Imperial Council of Agriculture Research, is what established on 16 July 1929 as a registered society under the societies. The council is the apex body or coordinating, guiding and managing research and education in the entire country with 101 ICR institute and 78 agriculture universities spread across the country. This is one of the largest national education system in the world, and it has a major role in promoting excellence in higher education in agriculture. Now, DBT. The full form of DBT is Department of Biotechnology for Conservation. Its use and application ranges from field life, agriculture to industry, medicine, nutrition, environmental conservation, animal science, etc., making it one of the fastest growing field. Next, the work is generally carried out in the laboratories as it is a scientific research oriented field. Now we discuss about gene bank. This is a method of planning for the conservation of genes. For this purpose, an ecosystem is treated artificial. Through this method, one can compare the difference among plants of different species and can study it in detail. Next, it need more landfill. Gene provide an easy and ready access to plant genetic resources for characterization, evolution or utilization, while the same material conserved in the form and in vitro cryo must be germinated or regenerated and grown before it can be used. Conservation, how to conservation or conserve in gene bank genes. Plant genetic material in a gene bank is preserved at minus 196 Celsius liquid nitrogen mature seeds, and 42,000 varieties of rice are conserved in the Central Rice Research Institute at Orissa. Now we discuss about a seed bank. A seed bank preserves dried seeds by sorting them at a very low temperatures. Spores and pteridophytes are conserved in seed banks, but other seedless plants such as tuber crop cannot be preserved this way. A place where germ plasma is conserved in the form of seed is called seed gene bank. Seeds are very convenient for storage because they occupy smaller space than whole plants. However, seed of all crops can be not stored at low temperature in the seed bank. The germplasm of only orthopox species can be conserved in seed banks. Advantages of seed bank: large number of germplasm samples or entire variability can be conserved in very small space. In seed banks, handling of germplasm easy. Thank you.